I think there are a lot of complexities into the kind of health risks that people might experience from such a facility, and I wanted to shine a little bit of light on the kinds of chemicals that would come from the facility, how people might be exposed, and the kind of health risks that might be engendered from exposure. The plant would emit known human carcinogens, including benzene, formaldehyde, and crystalline silica. And the way we treat these as health risk assessors is that any dose increases the risk of cancer. So indeed, this plant, if built, would increase the risk of cancer and other diseases.
Education is always the key to learning more about any particular thing, and I think that's what we're about here, is learning more about what might happen to us if we don't stop this.
The kind of combustion we're talking about would emit relatively small concentrations of these chemicals, so it's unclear how much risk we'd be at, but these are certainly some of the outcomes from exposure to these byproducts of combustion. And DNR found that while the proposed plant would increase the levels of all these criteria pollutants in Chippewa Falls, the levels would still be below the national ambient air quality standards.
We have a lot of information yet to collect about the silica sand mining and the processing plant.
Crystalline silica, as I mentioned before, is a component of sand. It causes silicosis, which is a fibrosis or scarring of the lung tissue. However, the percent of crystalline silica in the town of Howard mine site was not measured, nor did DNR consider how much would be emitted by the plant. When I talked with, again, the DNR representative, said that's not part of what we normally would do.
There are lots of things that I think need to be considered here, including some of the DNR rules and regulations that are currently in place.
Canadian Sand and Proppants, through their engineering firm, work with DNR staff to lower proposed emissions so they would meet air quality standards. This is a pretty common way that DNR interacts with proponents. My concern when I read that was that they basically asked the question, how much can we emit and still not be breaking the law? So their initial proposal was actually above air quality standards. They work with DNR to get a level that would be less than exposure standards.
I think that we're just starting to generate questions among community members who maybe haven't given much consideration to it yet, or maybe have, but just haven't had the chance to ask those questions. So I think it was a good start.